Thank you for browsing page 121. Today we're going to take a look at the player's handbook. We're going to go to a 5th level cleric spell, Commune. 5th level cleric spell, a cleric would get this at 9th level. So Commune, it is a divination spell, level 5, range 0, duration special, area of effect special. Components are verbal, somatic, and material. Casting time is 1 turn, and saving throw is none. By use of a Commune spell, the cleric is able to contact his or her divinity, or agents thereof, and request information in the form of questions which can be answered by simply yes or no. The cleric is allowed 1 such question for every level of experience he or she has attained. So 9th level cleric, 9 questions. The answers given will be correct. It is probable that the referee will limit the use of Commune spells to 1 per adventure, 1 per week, or even 1 per month, for the gods dislike frequent interruptions. The material components necessary to a Commune spell are the cleric's religious symbol, holy or unholy water, and incense. So pretty straightforward to read it. You go, okay, you got some yes or no questions. Well, what good is that? Actually, the answer is a lot of good. You can do a bunch with 9 minimum yes or no questions as dealing with a situation. You've captured a bad guy, and you don't know if he's the big bad evil guy or a minion. You can use a Commune and say, is this guy the big boss behind everything we've been fighting? The answer is yes or no. And if it's no, he is not, okay, does he work for somebody else? Or does he know who he's working for? Yes. So you can narrow it down. I've found that this spell builds a ton of role-playing at the table. Before it's cast, the players all chime in, at my table at least, on what they think should be asked and how it should be phrased. And very often the cleric casting it will write down the questions, because once a question is started, I don't let them say, wait a minute, I want to restart it. Nope, that counts as a question. So finish the question and we go to the next one. And I am always truthful with this. I never try to deceive, no matter what the alignment of the deity, or in some cases the deity's minion, would be. It's still a truthful answer, yes or no. I had a player years ago who decided to use a block of incense of meditation as the incense material component for this spell. And he said, okay, what bonuses do I get? And I said, well, burn it and we'll find out. So he burned it, and what I gave him was an additional 1d4 questions beyond what he would normally get. So if he was 9th level, I gave him an additional 1 to 4 questions, so 10 to 13. And those 1 to 4 questions I would allow to be short answers, 3 to 5 words. So it was kind of interesting. This player was really excited about that, and they were questioning, trying to find out who the big bad evil guy was in some encounter that they were dealing with. So when he got to his bonus questions, he asked for the name of the person behind everything, and I gave it to him. I did not allow the incense to do anything else, by the way. It was simply sacrificed for the use of the spell. And I felt, since he was giving up part of a pretty good magic item, 1 block of incense of meditation, and all the bonuses he would get from that, that I would allow it to stand. So that was pretty cool. I thought he did a nice job with that. I thought, and we had a ton of fun role-playing it, and finding out the big bad evil guy was someone that they already met earlier, and, you know, a classic DM misdirection kind of thing. The other time, one other use I had for this that old club I used to be at in the early 80s, I had a player cast this spell and then say, well, I'm not going to use them yet. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, there's no time limitation. The duration is special. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use it throughout the night in the dungeon. No, that's an interesting take. He said, yeah, I'm going to kind of use it as know the answer to your next dilemma. And he was, I think, he was 12th level cleric, so he got 12 of these. I thought it was an innovative use. I didn't personally feel that that was the intent of the spell, and as the deity or the minion, I would get annoyed with having to be on alert for however long this guy was going to take. But because it was a new idea, I did allow it. Either one night, I allowed it to happen, and I made it clear. This is a one and done. You came up with a neat take on an old item. It's going to be a one and done. Tonight I'll let it work this way. So he'd walk up to a door and he'd say, is the door trapped? Yes or no answer. No. Okay, the door's not trapped. Go ahead. They'd go ahead and go through it. He'd walk in. Is there a secret door in this wall? Yes or no. Yes. Okay, now start looking here for a secret door. And that's how he used it throughout the game. It was neat, definitely innovative, but not something that I was going to allow happen in my game all the time, because I would constantly have any game with a higher level cleric. I would constantly have a running commune spell where they would get infallible yes or no answers. Is this chest trapped? Is the chest a mimic? Yes or no? Anything like that. Are there bad guys hiding behind this door? Yes or no? It's not what the spell's intended for, in my opinion. And while I did award the innovation of using it that way, I did make it clear that it wasn't going to be something that was going to be common at my table. But other than that, just using this as a regular spell the way it's intended to be used, which is just to ask your questions in succession, this spell is very good. I usually will give the players about a turn equivalent in the game. In the real world, I'll give them about 15 minutes to play around with this. And then the deity's emissary is getting impatient and wants to go about his other business, so finish up. I don't allow the long-running thing anymore. Like I said, that was a one and done for that one player who came up with the idea. I usually will. If a player comes up with a new innovation for something, I will usually award that and let them do it that one time. But after that, it has to be played as I feel it was intended. I don't feel this spell was intended to be walking around for days or weeks on end knowing the answer to your next dilemma. Walking into a tavern and saying, will I like the soup here? Yes or no? I mean, that's not exactly what the spell is intended for. You could use it that way, but if I was your deity, unless I was some kind of deity of hospitality or short order cooks, I would not be happy with that use. But this builds a ton of role play. I find that almost everybody at the table gets involved with this, because while I only allow the player who casts the spell to ask me the questions, and they have to ask them phrased as yes or no answers, unless they get those bonus ones. I like that it forces role play between the player characters. So before the spell is cast, they set up some stuff, and very often they'll write down answers, or questions rather, to be answered, and then begin that session. So it gets everybody kind of involved, and it can help you move your game along too. It's another name for this spell. It should be exposition, because it's a good way for you as a DM to give up exposition if it's someplace that you need the players to, a direction you need them to go rather than the tack that they're on. It's a good way to kind of change things. So all in all, I really like this spell. I think it's fine as written. Like I said, with the interpretation of duration and area of effect, and that was the player's argument about being able to cast it and then just walk around with it, because the duration is special, the area of effect is special, which means he can walk around wherever he wants. The range is 0, so he's casting it on himself. So he said, hey, the book says I can do it this way. And I couldn't find fault with that, except, of course, for the deity getting irritated and having a minion on call while this guy goofed around with the spell. And that was the reasoning I used. So let me know how you've seen this spell used. Has anybody done anything like the two little tricks I described? It's a great player tool, and it's a great DM tool. It's a great way to get information into your players' hands and move a game forward. And the players get a lot of agency since they form the questions and they decide how often they want to use it. I don't necessarily limit it to once a week or once a month. It depends on how it's being used. I've had it cast once or twice in the same game, same gaming session. I have no real problem with twice. That's fine. And even if they cast it the next game, I have no problem with that. As long as it's being used the way that it kind of seems to be written for, I have no problem with it. So that's it. Let me know how this affected your table. If your players use it or if they avoid it like the plague, let me know. Also, please take a look at the Patreon, see if you can help me out there. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Please tell your friends. Let's continue growing the channel. And let me know any topics that you might be interested in seeing. I don't promise to do anything from suggestions, but I will take a look at them. I will consider everything suggested. But that's it for today on page 121. That's all I've got. I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time.